Hello and welcome back to Maths with Mitch. Today we are going to be looking at a handy trick for remembering the unit circle. This is something my teacher taught me many years ago when I was first learning it because I was really struggling to memorize the values. So I'm going to share it with you today. Firstly, we're going to draw our hand as you can see on the screen. You could do this as the left hand, or you can look at it as the palm of your right hand, depending on which way around you want to do it and whichever you find easiest. And then we're going to label up in red. You can see the degrees. So we're looking here at the first quadrant, looking at the positive quadrant from 0 to 90 degrees. And each finger is going to represent the value there. So 30 degrees, 45, 60, and then 90. And then we can write the same thing in radians in blue. So all we've got there is the first quadrant, degrees and radians. And then what we can do to remember the values, remembering that for each we're going to be looking at the coordinates and the values that we want. So we can think about which coordinates we're going to put in. And the rule we're going to think is we're going to do root of whichever number, the number of fingers we've got on either side. And I'll show you what I mean by that. And then divide it by 2. So for the first coordinate here, we're going to, if you were to put this finger down, so now let's consider that we are covering this finger here. And then I want you to look to the left and think, how many fingers do you have? You have 1, 2, 3. So we can put a 3 in here for the number of fingers. So that then becomes root 3 over 2. And we're going to do the same thing for the y coordinate by keeping that finger down and looking to the right. And how many fingers do we have? We have 1. So we're going to put a 1 into here for root 1, remembering that root 1 is 1, or at least one of them is, remembering which quadrant we're in. And we're going to use a half. So there we have our first coordinates. And we can then repeat that same process for each of the other fingers. So now looking at this finger, we can say, if we were to put that finger down, look to the left, we have 2 fingers, so it would be root 2 over 2. And to the right, we also have 2, so that's also root 2 over 2. Now to the next one, look to the left again, we have 1 finger, root 1 over 2, root 1 is 1, we have a half. And then to the right, we have 3 fingers, so it's root 3 over 2. And then finally for our last one, how many fingers do we have to the left? We have 0. And how many to the right? We have 4. Remembering we're going to put 4 into here, so root 4 is 2, and then 2 over 2 is 1. And repeat the same for the first finger here. So to the left we have 4, root 4 over 2, as we said, is 1. And then to the right we have no fingers left, so it's 0. So that's how you're going to use your hand to instantly remember the coordinates for the unit circle, and that's for the first quadrant. Now remember, when we looked at the unit circle, we said we were positive and positive here for cos and sine, and then you just need to apply this hand to the positives and negatives depending on what it is in each of the other quadrants. So you can look at the 4 quadrants and think which is positive, which is negative for each one, and then apply your hand to it. So if we were to look at an angle here, which is 30 degrees in this direction past the horizontal, so it would be 180 plus 30, so we're actually looking at 210 degrees. You would identify that that's 30, so you can use these values here, but you're going to be applying the negatives. So you can say that for 210, the values are going to be negative root 3 over 2 and negative a half. So that's how you can use the hand to identify all of the common angles in the unit circle that you may need to draw.